Hey, it's Alicia here. Really quick before we jump into today's episode, I want to tell you about the biggest sale that I am running of the year. It is going to be my Friday before Black Friday sale. And if you are interested in scoring some pretty sweet deals on a Boudoir session, you are not going to want to miss this. Make sure you sign up for my email newsletter. That way you are the first to know when it launches. And you can do that through the link in the episode description. Oh, and stay tuned for the end of the episode if you want a little sneak peek at what a boudoir session at my studio looks like. Hello, and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, a podcast where we talk empowerment, self-love, boudoir, and anything else that makes us feel like a total babe. I am Alicia. I'm a boudoir photographer of 7 years in Port Washington, Wisconsin, and I have spent a lot of time learning about body affirmations, learning about body liberation, self-care, self-love, you name it. I have probably done a lot of reading and listening on the subject. So I'm excited that you're here and that I get to share what I know with you. We just finished up Halloween. Hopefully everybody had a great spooky season and no, scary ghosts or goblins got you. And hopefully diet culture did not get you either. I know we're reaching a point of year where sweets and goodies and treats start to come out, and that voice in our head that is ingrained in diet culture likes to come out as well and try to make us feel guilty for stuff that we're eating and enjoying. And to that, I say poo-poo. We are not going to let diet culture ruin Halloween for us, or Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or what have you. Like, you're allowed to enjoy treats. You are allowed to have sugar. Like, it's okay to enjoy these things, and you don't have to work it off. So if you do have some candy on Halloween, you are not then required to go and burn off said calories. Sometimes it's okay just to enjoy a treat for the sake of enjoying it. We often forget that food and being social, food and experiencing joy and stuff like that, that's all combined as well. Yeah, food is nutritious and we need to fuel our bodies in a way that's good for us and going to make us feel good. But nothing bad is going to happen if you eat a little candy on Halloween. So I hope that very nasty and insidious diet culture, which to me is the scariest part of Halloween, to be perfectly honest, I hope that did not ruin your festivities, and I hope you had a lovely, lovely spooky season. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. We're going to be talking about the importance of treating yourself and how to create self-care in a very hectic world. So I wrote a blog post about this, actually, something really similar. And when I wrote this blog post, I was waiting for a tow truck to come and pick up my car. It had died. This was back when I still had my old Honda, Rhonda the Honda, and she was really on her last leg once we neared the end of our car-human relationship. And the tow truck had to come and pick her up because she just would not start. So I know how crazy life can get, and waiting for a tow truck to pick up your car, definitely not an ideal scenario. And I wrote this while I was waiting for that tow truck to come. So I understand that between work and responsibilities at home and just really all of the constant demands that we face, it can be pretty easy to put self-care on the back burner and not make it a priority because it feels like we have so many other things that we have to do, and those other things are just more important than us. But I just want to remind you that treating yourself is very, very important. Self-care is not selfish. It is, in fact, a really vital part of just maintaining both physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So why then would something like that be so crucial? Well, let's dig in and find out. All right, life can be draining. We all know that. Yeah, life can be really joyful and exciting and wonderful and happy and all that good stuff, but sometimes life just sucks as well. And we need a break. We cannot go at full speed 100% of the time. You're going to get exhausted. That is a surefire way to create burnout. And did you know that it can actually take a couple years to come back from burnout if you've been experiencing it for a while. Ugh. So we're setting ourselves up for failure if we are just in go mode all of the time. So when you treat yourself, you essentially are recharging your own batteries, which is what we need to be doing. Whether it's, a spa day or, I don't know, a weekend getaway, a boudoir session, who knows? You can even just simply indulge in like your favorite book, or maybe you go to the coffee shop, you take some time to get back into a hobby that you haven't done in a while. These moments of self-indulgence can rejuvenate the spirit and just make it a little bit easier to face the challenges that we know life is going to throw at you. I have been desperately waiting for a weekend away. Like, I know that for me personally, in my work schedule, my October and November are always really busy. And with busy season, there tends to be a little more stress. This year, I'm prepared for it. I'm going to be taking some time off at the end of November just to recharge. I don't even know if I'm going anywhere. I just want a couple days off to do nothing. My mom asked me recently, "Oh, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?" And I was like, "Nothing. I am doing nothing for Thanksgiving. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want those 4 days to myself to unwind and recharge my batteries after 2 months of being very, very busy." So it's okay for you to take that time to do the things that you need to do to, rejuvenate yourself a little bit. Again, that's not selfish. Taking time to do those things, not selfish. You need that for self-preservation. I was at a networking event recently, actually, and the someone that I know at this event said that if you do not, it was along the lines of, if you do not take time for rest, the universe will like choose that rest for you. And normally when the universe picks the time for you to rest, it's not ideal. It's normally not in the greatest, it doesn't normally align with your schedule terribly well. So let's not leave our breaks up to fate. Let's go ahead and choose those ourselves to make our life a little bit easier. And that leads us into, this concept of stress as well. And stress, just like the hecticness of life, is inevitable. Excessive stress, not great. That is what's going to take a toll on your health. We're talking like lack of sleep. And sleep, you need it. Whether you want to admit it or not, we desperately, desperately need it for our well-being. Stress can lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to anxiety, paranoia. We're talking like big things, even like heart attacks. All right. So stress is not something that we mess around with. There are going to be times where stress is high. That's just the way that it is. But we want to make sure that we're set up so that we can handle that amount of stress and then wait for those levels to come back down and not be in a perpetual state of high stress. That's what we don't want to do. So when you allow yourself to relax, when you engage in self-care activities, you're going to actually significantly reduce those stress levels. There are some activities, like meditation, yoga, two things that I'm very, very bad at. But something even like a leisurely walk just in the woods, that can really help you unwind and give you a little bit of inner peace, where you're giving yourself the tools to handle when those stress levels are high. And like we said, that's really, really good for your health. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. Also, did you know that self-care is actually a really powerful tool for boosting self-esteem, for boosting self-worth? Probably didn't know that was one of the benefits of it, right? But when you really think about it, it makes sense, because when you take time to pamper yourself or engage in an activity that brings you joy, you're sending a very clear message to yourself. And that message is, I am worth it. Now, this is a type of positive reinforcement. If you've listened to any of the other episodes we've done here, like the affirmations episode, for example, we talked about how important that kind of positive reinforcement can be. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel like your self-image is improving and your overall confidence is improving because you are telling yourself on a regular basis, hey, I am worth this time. I am worth this energy. I am worth this financial investment, whatever it may be. You're telling yourself, I deserve these things. I deserve to be cared for, and I am worthy of the time it takes to care for myself. And that is a really, really powerful message to relay to yourself on a regular basis. If something like self-care has been difficult for you in the past, this is a really, really cool message to remind yourself that, okay, this is something that I need to work into my schedule on a regular basis because I am deserving of that. And believe it or not, taking care of yourself not only is going to create that positive impact with yourself, but it can really positively impact your other relationships too. When you are well rested and relaxed and you're feeling good about yourself, you're suddenly better equipped to connect with other people on a deeper level. Makes sense, right? It's just maybe not something that we've really ever thought about. When you treat yourself, you might find that you actually have more space to better communicate with other people in a healthy way. You might have more empathy for other people, and just really you're going to experience more, I don't know, overall relationship satisfaction. Not only, we're not talking just on a romantic level with like a partner, a husband and a wife or whatever, but with your friends, with your coworkers. In general, you're going to be able to just relate to other people better because you are feeling better about who you are as a person, which is a really freaking sweet part of self-care that nobody ever really talks about. You know what else we don't talk about much when we're talking about self-care? The creativity and productivity that you'll get from that as well. When you take breaks and you indulge in activities that you really enjoy, you're going to boost your creativity and productivity as well. Because stepping away, like at least giving yourself permission to step away from work or responsibilities. And I'm not saying to not ever go back to those things and finish them. We do still need to do our responsibilities. But when we give ourselves a break from them, you're able to return with fresh ideas and like a more focused mind. I know for me, that's something that I really enjoy about like exercise. I get to step away from my responsibilities and I kind of just get to exist in my own brain and body for a little while. And sometimes I have done my best brainstorming while I'm working out. I think the same can be said about going for walks, relaxing, in a hot tub, whatever it may be. When you give yourself a chance to get away from your computer or your work or what have you, the noise and the grind kind of dissipate and you give your brain a chance to think about other things. And that's when we can be creative. And that's when we can sometimes unexpectedly come up with our best ideas. I'm sure you've heard the idea of like, I don't know, I went to college for writing, and whenever people were experiencing, writer's block, there was kind of a cliche of like, well, go take a long shower because some of your best ideas come to you when you're in the shower, not doing anything else. Albert Einstein, right? He worked at a patent office, I believe. And I think that was because he said like this sort of mindless isn't the best word, but easier work gave him the time to think of all of his big theories and math that is far beyond the scope of my knowledge, right? So sometimes we just have to step away, and that's all we need to get those creative juices flowing. For photographers especially, I see a lot of memes, a lot of jokes about working late, working super long hours. And it's funny in theory, but it's actually really, really bad for you. And if you were to step away from editing instead of working super late hours and do something else like sketch or draw or paint or bake a loaf of bread or something, that might actually rejuvenate you enough to go back and finish your work with even more efficiency. So let's not pull the long hours all of the time. It's not good for us, okay? You'll find that giving yourself time away from those responsibilities will actually like create the energy you need to go back to them. Pretty cool stuff. And finally, when we treat ourselves, what we're really doing is encouraging mindfulness and presence in the moment. Treating ourselves and really thinking about it when we are engaging in those activities gives us the opportunity to slow down, savor the present, and just appreciate these simple pleasures in life. I've talked about glimmers before, it's like the opposite of a trigger. It's something that your nervous system recognizes through like one of the five senses, but instead of like our heartbeat elevating and our breath elevating and all of that, instead it like calms us down, or we feel joy or serenity about it. And this is sort of that idea. You have to look for these glimmers and practice mindfulness and presence when you are engaging in your self-care activities. And that'll have a huge effect on your mental well-being. That's what's going to help you manage stress. That's what's going to give you that inner peace that we talked about. That's what's going to build up your self-confidence. Mindfulness is actually something that I really love about being a boudoir photographer, because when we are existing out in the world, how often do we actually stop and just think about being present in our bodies? Like, what does it feel like to be in your body right now? What are you experiencing just by being in your body? That is not something that we normally have the ability to do because there's so much stuff happening around us all of the time. So when you're in front of the camera and I'm walking you through a pose, your only responsibility is to think about your body. What does it feel like to have your hand run through your hair? What is that breathing that we talked about? What does that feel like? When air goes into your lungs and then slowly leaves your lungs, what does that feel like? What is that sensation like? Boudoir is cool because it does give you the time to think about just how your body feels, and you get to live in the moment and in your body and just realize how amazing it is that we get to exist. It's something that I really love about my job, and I think a lot of my clients have learned to really appreciate that as well. So as we wrap this up, just keep in mind that, self-care, it does look different for everybody. What works for me might not work for you. There's no, specific formula that you have to follow. But really, self-care is about finding what brings you joy and relaxation and just a sense of well-being. Maybe it's a bubble bath. You just need some very quick self-care to recharge after a long day. Okay, great. Bubble bath, or your favorite mocktail. Perfect. Maybe it's something that requires a little more time, energy, and money, like a weekend getaway. Maybe it's a good book. Maybe it is a boudoir session, or quality time with a friend that you haven't seen in a while. Whatever it is. The key is to prioritize self-care as an important part of your life, just like all of the other hectic and busy and crazy things going on. You don't have to be on the back burner. Sometimes, yes, things are going to come up and we just have to get them done, and that's just the way that it is. But I don't want you to leave yourself in the back seat for too long, because then you will become exhausted. Then you will get burnt out. Then you aren't going to sleep well. Then your relationships are going to struggle, etc., etc. And I don't want that for you. I'm sure you don't want that either, right? So I want you to appreciate the importance of self-care. I want you to appreciate the importance of treating yourself, value self-care, as an investment in your physical, mental, and emotional health. And just remember that by taking care of yourself, you can actually create a more balanced and fulfilled and joyful life in a very, 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 very fast-paced world, which is pretty cool, and you deserve it. All right, before we go, let's get into this week's Babe of the Week, a woman who I have been absolutely adoring lately, who honestly I think I always have, Pamela Anderson. And I know what you're thinking. Pamela Anderson, obvious choice for a babe. I mean, I grew up watching Baywatch. Maybe you did too. But that's not why I picked her. Yes, she is gorgeous. She's stunning. But she has been going through this like transformation and rebirth, I guess if we want to call it that, lately. And I have loved watching her talk. I have been very inspired by her and this like self-acceptance that she has come into. I can't get enough of her. I think she is so cool. If you've been, I don't know, if you've seen anything about her lately, most of it has been about her like no makeup thing, and I love that. She went to Paris Fashion Week and didn't have any makeup on, and she said, I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. And then it kind of blew up. And now she's been going to PR events and like red carpets and doing interviews, and she's not wearing any makeup when she goes to them. And it is just beautiful to watch her exist just in her body. She recently appeared on the Drew Barrymore show, and she did not have any makeup on. And the hosts of that episode also did not wear any makeup. And listening to her speak about how she felt during Baywatch and when she was married and, her Playboy bunny or her Playboy photo shoot and things like that, listening to her talk about how she felt then compared to how she feels now, I couldn't feel anything other than admiration. I'm always going to be down for someone living authentically as themselves, and I have to cheer on the people who are encouraging others to live authentically as well. I'm actually going to have producer Dustin put in the clip of her from the Drew Barrymore show right now so you can listen to it.
You've been doing this for a couple years now. I really think you own this space. I think you're the pioneer of what we're certainly doing here today. It's a big honor of, I think, your...
Oh, I love it.
choices.
It's amazing. Isn't it freeing? Doesn't it feel free? I mean, I feel free. I mean, it's taken a while too. I've had my little, journey with it, but I'm just like, we all are our own worst critics.
Well, when did you really start, embracing it, really feeling comfortable with it?
Well, it was at Paris Fashion Week, and I decided I was just going to a fashion show. I didn't need to compete with anybody. Why am I wasting 3 hours in a makeup chair when I have these beautiful Vivienne Westwood clothes on? And I didn't realize anyone would even notice. So then when people started coming up to me and talking about it, I thought, well, this is a great message. This is to really peel it back and find out who I was again. I wanted to remember who I was. I found I played characters my whole life. I always wanted to be, I was painfully shy as a kid. And doing Playboy, for instance, was a huge leap of faith for me. It just, I was physically sick doing it, but I didn't want to be shy anymore. And then I became, I just thought, well, this is what my fantasy of what a model is, or a playmate is, or a rock star wife is, or what anything is. I'm going to do it the best. And I've been playing these characters along the way, and it just hit me a couple of years ago, and I was like, just shaking my head going, who am I? And that's when I went home into my garden and started, planting things and getting into nature and going back to the trees that knew me since birth. I bought my grandmother's property and renovated it. And I just started taking it all back and then started peeking out without makeup. And then I started realizing, oh, I feel great as me. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to think of me as all those cartoon characters I kind of created for protection or for, that's what I think I did it for. Looking back. But this is the best time in my life. I feel so empowered and so free and so excited about life again.
It really is so interesting what you said, too, about... Sorry, if we're really going to be honest here. I love you so much. This is great. Oh, my gosh. This is wonderful. I'm like...
Yeah, right? Let's go. Let's go. You don't need that. There's a time and a place,
Yes, right?
There's a time and a place. Want me to help you with those?
You got them. So another really awesome symptom of perimenopause is you start to lose your hair. And
You have a lot
so
of hair. Your hair's beautiful.
it's good. It's not bad. And I want
You can have a full face of makeup, feel like the makeup was beautiful, but if you're having a bad hair day, it's like, nah, ain't gonna happen.
And if you are having a great hair day, you feel a lot more confident about wearing less makeup because you feel so good in your presentation that everything else sort of falls into place.
See, she seems so just light and fulfilled. And I just could not be happier for this woman that I do not know. She's back and doing like really cool movies. I know The Last Showgirl has just come out and I haven't seen it yet, but I want to. It looks really good. I mean, anything about showgirls I'm there for. She's got something coming up with like Liam Neeson, I think a Naked Gun remake. I don't know, she seems so fulfilled and happy, and she's doing it just for herself. She feels like she's just living for herself, and I love that. And while I personally still wear makeup, I love the idea of not. Back when I was in college, I would not leave my house without makeup on. And even, for a couple years, I think, after I graduated, so that would have been my mid-20s, you would not catch me outside without makeup on. Now, it's a little bit better. I don't feel as terrified to leave my house without any makeup on. But I still prefer to at least have mascara on and like my brows done to feel to no longer feel that this is an obligation, though, that I cannot exist without a full face of makeup on. That has been a very freeing experience. I know that I don't need it. I know that I still deserve to be treated like a human being with respect and kindness and empathy, regardless of how much makeup I've chosen to put on my face. That has been a very freeing experience for me. And so watching Pamela Anderson do all of these big interviews and TV appearances and everything without any makeup on, I am incredibly inspired by it. My voice is cracking.
Yeah.
I am incredibly inspired by it, and I highly encourage you to go check out what she has been up to, because I think she'll inspire you too. Again, anybody who is out there letting people know it is okay to live as themselves, for themselves, how is that not a babe? That's such a babe move. We love to see it. So happy that Pamela Anderson is back and just doing really, really cool things. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you want to follow along with Bucks and Boudoir and what I'm up to at the studio, you can find me just about everywhere. I'm on Facebook. Bucks and Boudoir is on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. You can also sign up for my email newsletter. That's in the description. The easiest thing you can do to support the studio, just like and subscribe and comment on this podcast. I would really, really appreciate it. It helps us move up through the charts. So if you have 2 seconds, just like and subscribe. It means the world to me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you're listening. And I am going to leave you with the same message that I always leave you with, of course, because we need to hear this on a regular basis. Okay, your body is a good body. Be nice to it. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself. Indulge in a little bit of self-care today. Let me know, actually, what that self-care is. And I will talk to you all again in the next episode. Bye.
Whoop.